You put away your gun, how you stopped fighting. It was right. It still is. You can still be like that again.
I can't be who I was. It's different now.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down and analyzing the newest Entertainment Weekly article featuring an interview with director Greg Nicotero about the second half of The Walking Dead Season 8. And with that being said, major warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to Season 8, Episode 8, and let's jump right into this. So, although there are other things discussed with Greg Nicotero later on, the headlines for the article actually read, The Walking Dead to feature first fully nude zombie. So, with something that ridiculous, how could we possibly ignore it? Alright, so I actually first saw this due to a tweet posted on Twitter featuring Chandler Riggs' response to this. I saw Dalton Ross retweet this, who is usually the person who writes up all these articles at Entertainment Weekly. So I'll be skimming over most of the article as we go through and discuss it, but feel free to check it out on your own, link will be in the description. So, cable TV's biggest series returns on February 25th, and at some point during the second half of Season 8, we will be treated, if that's the right word, and it's probably not, to the show's first naked member of the undead. That's according to executive producer Greg Nicotero, who informs us that there's an episode where we did our first fully nude walker. We've never done that before. No word on the walker's gender and whether we are talking zombie full frontal or not, but fully nude is fully nude. No matter what angle or camera position, it can't be pretty. So we all have that to look forward to. But we didn't get Nicotero on the line to just talk naked zombies. Okay, maybe we did. However, while we had the man who also directed 3 of the next 8 episodes, we asked him about what else to expect coming up. At some point in the back half of Season 8, we'll see a fully nude zombie? First off, I can't help but laugh at that being something that they're releasing in order to hype up the second half of Season 8. Nice try diverting us from the Carl death, guys. That sure makes up for it. Now, I'm all for nudity in TV shows and movies when it fits the story or situation, but really? A naked zombie? Sorry guys, but I'm not excited about this at all. Thinking about a naked zombie just grosses me out. That's probably the point, but you know, if I see nudity in a TV show, I want it to be something appealing to look at. Plain and simple. Thinking about seeing a naked zombie gets me to cringe as if I'm seeing Tommy Wiseau's ass from The Room. And maybe the point will be for comedic effect, but what will the situation be? Will we see a naked zombie stuck in a shower somewhere, or will it be something more random and out of place? Will it just blend into the background and we'll have to try and actually vividly look for it to find it, or will it stick out like a sore thumb? Also, they did mention that there is no word on it being a full frontal or not, and considering this is cable TV and not Game of Thrones on HBO, I'm going to assume that it won't be a full frontal. I swear, it's like we're going to get 7 seconds of some gross naked zombie ass walking across the screen and that's it, but let me know what you guys think. Let's continue on with the article and discuss some less ridiculous topics. Entertainment Weekly asks, how much of what we're going to see moving forward is about winning the war against Negan, and how much is people figuring out how far they are willing to go to win that war? Greg Nicotero responds by saying, I think that the second half of the season there's much less talking about what's going on. Clearly, the balance has shifted. Now that Negan and his group have escaped the sanctuary, there's not as much talking about what the ramifications are of what we're going to do, but now our group has to be on the defensive because Negan's out and he's pissed, and it's definitely a different dynamic than the first half of the season. Alright, now let me go ahead and just pause the article for a sec and just discuss what Nicotero is talking about. So, for those of you who are aware, The Walking Dead kind of reinvents itself every season, or rather every half season, so every 8 episodes they kind of want to have a different feel, a different dynamic, and that's pretty much what he's talking about. Alright, now continuing on with the article. In the first half of the season, they show up outside the sanctuary, they lay out the plan, and then they head off to the satellite dishes. But I got to say, there are instances when a lot of these characters go rogue, and you kind of wonder that if they would have just stuck to the plan, would they have been successful? Between Rick going rogue and Tara and Daryl going rogue, and then Michonne and Rosita sort of going out there, there's a lot of emotion involved around it. You can't just say that it's all military and it's all tactics. There's emotion involved in what these people are going through and processing what the world is going to become and what it needs to become for them to exist. I mean, it's always, what are we fighting for? Any war in the history of mankind has always been based on, what are we fighting for? Alright, so this just further discusses how the emotions of the main characters play into how strictly they follow the plan and whether or not they go off the beaten path. Greg Nicotero stated this in the behind the scenes look at Season 8B, and I have a full video breaking down that trailer if you want to learn more.
Their biggest strength is their tenacity and their determination to win. They want to survive. They want to set themselves up to build a community where life can go on. That's the plan. The biggest problem with our group is they let their emotions interfere with the plan. Their judgment gets clouded.
You don't want to do this.
I have.
Anyways, as Nicotero gives a few examples of characters going rogue in Season 8A, he implies that emotional conflict will continue to hinder the effectiveness of their plans unfolding for the rest of the season. One valid example of characters going rogue would be Tara and Daryl, but just as I stated in my Eugene predictions, I would like to focus an entire video on that in the next few days. Next up, Entertainment Weekly asked Greg Nicotero about having Rick and Daryl on the forefront every episode so far in Season 8, but Nicotero just kinda quickly switches topics to Morgan and his actor Lennie James. So, I noticed that Rick and Daryl were in every episode in the first half. How nice was it to have those guys back on the front and center? Well, we played into the show's strengths and the characters have great chemistry. Those guys always have great chemistry when they're on screen, and that's something that brings some power to the show. We have a fantastic cast. When Lennie James moved over to the other show, we had a really great conversation, and the last day of shooting in Georgia, I hugged him and we got a little emotional just about everything that we've been through over the last 8 years. I feel like Lennie is part responsible for the success of The Walking Dead. The scene where he's sitting at his house trying to shoot his wife and just completely broke down was one of the moments in the pilot that made me realize that we had something different and that we had something special. He's such a tremendous actor. You get someone like him, you get Melissa McBride. I mean, these people really have power and a charisma. That's why people watch the show. They watch the show because of the power and charisma that these actors bring to these characters. Speaking of Lennie James, you've had to say goodbye to a lot of actors over the years, but never quite like this with him leaving the show but staying in the Walking Dead universe with the spin-off. It certainly was different. It's an exciting time, but also we have to process the characters that we lose and then question, okay, who's filling in that spot? Who's filling in this spot? Our cast since the beginning has always been very organic in terms of how it morphs into different things. We had Season 1, and then we had the farm, then we had the prison, then we had Terminus, and then we had Alexandria. The dynamics of the show shift and change, and I really believe that by the time this season ends, we're going to see another one of these great opportunities where the show continues to show its strength. Alright, so just more Morgan hype for this spin-off. One interesting point that I wanted to discuss was how the send-off for Morgan's character will be different than any other character, as he will not be dying at the end of Season 8 or around the end of Season 8. I honestly think it's going to happen in the last episode because Season 4 starts right afterwards, but anyways, Morgan will leave The Walking Dead in order to become a part of the 4th season of the spin-off show, Fear the Walking Dead. So although Lennie James will be leaving the main cast and crew, it will probably give off very different vibes since the goodbye won't feature his character being killed off. Lennie James is an amazing actor, and he definitely was one of my favorite characters out of the first few seasons, and I was one of the fans screaming for him to return in the later seasons, so my wish was granted. For more information on the crossover, feel free to check out my recent videos about it, but let's continue on with the final part of the article. Finally, what's going on with Maggie? We just saw her kill a savior in cold blood and ship him back to Negan in a coffin. In my opinion, one of the most powerful moments in the mid-season finale was what Maggie did. I remember watching the cutout of the gate, and when she pulled the trigger and then turned and walked away, you saw that weight on her. She's still human, she still has morals, so she's at odds with how to move forward. She knows that there are things that she's going to have to do that she's probably not going to believe in. We're going to see a lot more of that in the second half of the season, where Maggie comes into direct conflict with what her morals are and who she should be versus protecting her people and protecting the hilltop. It's pretty polarizing what she does and what she's able to do, and we have some great things to see from her. So I actually wanted to create an entire video on Maggie becoming more cold and quick to pull the trigger, and really everything that Greg Nicotero is talking about here, but I never really got around to it. Now, depending on her actions during the second half of Season 8, I still may dedicate an entire video discussing how her new determined attitude to finish the fight might change how her character is overall, but for now let's go ahead and discuss her character here. Now, her actions in episode 808 have proved that she is beyond done with the Saviors. I mean, we kind of already knew that already, but she just really wants nothing to do with them. She keeps getting pushed more and more, and that's really starting to show. She is lucky as fuck that Simon didn't take her as a prisoner or worse, and it doesn't seem like she'll make the same mistake to end up in that position again. At this point, war has already been waging, but this just further set in stone that she will not cooperate with Simon or any of the Saviors whatsoever. The thing that I'm starting to worry about is how she may lose a bit too much of her humanity in the process. Jesus is always trying to tell her to do the right thing, but he can only stress that so much. At this point, Maggie doesn't seem to be keeping the Saviors alive because she believes in living with them in peace after the war is done. She's just currently keeping them alive for leverage. She has stated multiple times that she will get rid of them once they are no longer useful to her. Would she really just execute a crowd of Saviors just for them being Saviors? I feel like that Aiden Savior guy will help her show that not all Saviors are evil monsters, and that some are just doing what they need to do to get by. Not everyone enjoys the job that they have, but if it pays well, they'll do it regardless. A lot of Saviors were just probably in this position, and Maggie needs to realize that. Maggie does have a good sense of telling if someone is a good or bad person, but her bloodlust for revenge is blurring her vision as she's just putting a big red X mark on every single Savior affiliated with Negan. Do you guys think that the second half of All Out War will continue to bring out a more dark and dangerous Maggie? I feel like if she goes off the deep end too much, she may be difficult to control. Would she really be irrational enough to go rogue? We have enough stupid characters going rogue and messing up the plans, it's really starting to get old. I rolled my eyes when Sasha and Rosita tried taking matters into their own hands at the end of season 7, and I shook my head even more so when Tara and Daryl tried doing the same thing in season 8. Again, look out for a video in the near future focusing entirely on that, but for now let me know your own opinions. How do you feel about Maggie's situation going into the back half of All Out War? I could have kept this entire video talking about naked zombies, but I figured that we should actually have an option to talk about something normal today as well. So feel free to leave any theories or predictions in the comment section below. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, or even subscribe for more Walking Dead Season 8 content in the near future. And if you'd like to take that extra step in helping support my videos, consider checking out my Patreon, where there's a bunch of different rewards involving the channel, such as a chance to directly influence the videos being produced. It isn't necessary by any means, but it could really help in the long run. And as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.